consider the paths in M symmetric difference M prime. Right? First of all, these paths are, I am introducing this for the first time, these paths are what we call alternating paths. Right? So let me mark the edges here as 1 and mark these edges as 2. Okay? And remember that M is a maximal matching, no augmenting path, and M prime is a larger matching. It has more edges. Now these are alternating paths. What do I mean by alternating paths? You look at each path, it will either look like 1, 2, right, 1, or it will look like 1, 2, right, 1, 2, right, and so on. Fine. Now what I claim is that there must be one path which looks like this. Can you see why? Just by looking at this picture. Right, the argument, just this picture tells you that, see, if it is of this form, right, 2 edges of 1 and 2 edges of 2. So such paths will count equal number of edges from M and M prime, right? But M prime has more edges, right? So therefore you must find, right? So this is not, so you must find 2, 1 and 2, right? This kind of a path basically counts lesser number of edges of M prime, right, and than M, right? So this also cannot be, I mean, it cannot be that all the paths look like this. Remember, the even length cycles count the same number of edges. It can't be that all the remaining paths are of the first 2 types, right? So there must be a path which looks like this, right, and this is a augmenting path for M. Please don't be misled by 3. It will start with 2, right, 1, 2, 1 and so on, and end with 2 for some number. Otherwise, you will come to a contradiction to the starting premise that M prime had more edges than M. Right? So therefore, one such path will definitely be there. Right? This is our M augmenting path. This is a contradiction that M did not have an augmenting path. Right? Therefore, M should have indeed been a maximum cardinality matching. Right? So the algorithmic questions are natural now, right? So given a graph G and a matching M, check whether this matching is a maximum cardinality matching or not. Fine. Look for augmenting paths using the method that we discovered earlier. How efficiently can you implement it is a very natural question. Fine. So now let us focus on very special kinds of graphs. In particular, let us focus on matchings in bipartite graphs. Okay. So observe that we have a full understanding of when a certain matching is a maximum cardinality matching in a given graph. Right? So we have characterized it. Right? And we also believe that there is a polynomial time algorithm to check whether the matching is a maximum cardinality matching by this modified BFS from every unmatched vertex. So now let's focus on bipartite graphs, because this whole theory can be extended and we can get some more understanding of the structure of matchings in bipartite graphs. Right? So let's recall a bipartite graph. So there is a left partition and a right partition, right? And all the edges are from here. Right? And there are no edges inside L and there are no edges inside R. Right. So now we introduce a small terminology, right? A matching is said to saturate X, subset of, let us say, L. Matching M is said to saturate X, which is a subset of L, if each vertex in X is right. I am using some terminology which you will find in the textbook. So, when I say a vertex is matched by a matching M, it means that there is an edge incident on it inside the matching. Fine. So, for example, if I say this, I say that this vertex X, this vertex U is matched. Let us say this is the matching, this is matched by U is matched by M because this edge is in the matching. Fine. It's just makes the conversation easier, right? Fine. So, each vertex in X. So, we say that a matching M is said to saturate a set X, right, if every vertex is matched. Right. Inside X is matched by M, right, and X is inside L. Fine. Now, I am going to prove a very interesting property. Right. So, let us assume that X is a subset and all of X is saturated. X is saturated by a matching M, right. Then an immediate observation that you will see is that, first of all, cardinality of n of X, the neighbors of X, is at least as large as the cardinality of X. Right. This is quite obvious, right. The neighbors of X is at least as large as X because every element of X is found a partner, or it is matched via this matching M on the opposite side R. There is another subtly hidden property which is also quite easy to see if you look at it. For all Y subset of X, that is also true, right. If you look at this set, its neighbors is at least these two guys, right. So, therefore, it looks like, not a very important property, right. It seems to be quite an obvious observation, but we are now going to observe that, we are going to prove that let X be a subset of L. So, I will not write a matching, okay. When I write M, I mean matching. There is an M which saturates X if and only if for all Y subset of X right. So, you have this bipartite graph and you see you are interested in one particular set X and you want to know, is there a matching which saturates X? Right. The answer to that question is yes, if and only if this property is satisfied. Right. One direction is very clear. If there is a matching which saturates S, then this condition is quite obvious. Now, we are going to prove that if this condition, the underlying condition, is true for an X, then there is a matching which saturates X, and sitting inside this proof is also a very neat algorithm implementation exercise. Fine. And this is called the Hall's theorem. Hall's theorem for bipartite matching. Right. And inside the proof of this direction, you will see where the bipartiteness of the graph is used. All right. So, let us prove the difficult direction of this theorem. Right. So, X is a set sitting inside L, and you know that the neighborhood of X is like this. it's at least as large as this, and if you consider any subset inside, the neighborhood looks like this. Fine. Now I am going to claim that you will be able to find a matching which saturates X, and we will prove this by induction on X, on the size of X. Right. Well, if X has one element, it's quite obvious, right? If base case right, and therefore you will immediately get a matching. Done, right? So let us assume the result is true for sets of size less than or equal to R. Induction hypothesis, claim true for all X, subset of L, cardinality of X is less than or equal to R. Right? Now let Y subset of L, cardinality of Y is equal to R plus 1. Fine. What do we know? We know that n of y, the cardinality of n of y, is greater than or equal to the cardinality of y, which is equal to R plus 1. Fine. Right. Consider a matching M of y minus one special vertex. Just remove it, right? Matching M saturating y minus v, right? So you are interested in proving this theorem, right? So y is the set, it's of size R plus 1, right? Now you take one vertex v and say, okay, I'm going to remove this guy out, right? Now you can apply your induction hypothesis because y is smaller, right? You know that the neighborhood of y and all subsets of it satisfy this condition, therefore there is a matching here. Fine. Now I want to show that I can extend this matching. Which is the unmatched vertex here? Obviously V is the unmatched guy. Now can you tell me what I should do? You want to find a larger matching, right? That will match V, right? You want to find, super, yes, right? We now show to prove that the graph formed by y and n of y, right? The left hand side is y, the right hand side is the neighbors of y, has a M augmenting path. Right? It's the same type of argument that we saw earlier about whether a certain matching is a maximum matching or not. But let us do this. So it's a repeat of that argument, right? So let us start at V. V is unmatched under M. So you look at all the neighbors of V. So V is in Y, and Y is in the left hand side, right? This is all the neighbors of V which are on the right hand side, right? There are no edges within one side at all. Right? Okay. Now, if you find that one of these vertices is unmatched, you are done, right? So what will happen? The right hand side vertices are all matched. It's the same counting argument that, first of all, this is finite. In every iteration, either you will find an augmenting path or you will introduce new vertices into this data structure, right? But how many vertices can you introduce? Oh, there are only finite number of vertices. On termination, if you don't find an augmenting path, we will argue that the number of neighbors of V is actually not, of the set Y is not as large as Y itself. That's the counting argument. Very easily we will argue. Right? Fine. So these are the neighbors. Right? Now these guys are matched. These are in the matching. Right? This is the bad case. Right? The good case is when you find that one of them is unmatched, your proof is done. Right? Now these are the remaining guys. So of course this layer is in L. Right? Somewhere in L, not necessarily only in Y, but somewhere in L. Like this, like this, like this. Right? And if all of them continue to be matched, let's assume that you terminate here and say, okay, inside this graph which is formed by, so what is this graph? Let me just, I hope I am not confused. This is the graph formed by Y union N of Y. Right? It's Y union N of Y. Among this, V is unmatched, everybody else is nicely matched. Right? It's only this graph. So, I mean, this L is just to remember that it is the left hand side. Fine. So, the layers are alternating between L and R and L and R. Fine. Okay. So, let us assume that the algorithm terminates at this level and you say that, look, right? So, now let us just see. Right? You have equal number of vertices in R right, as there are vertices inside L which are matched, right, and there is one more vertex here, right, for whom there is no special neighbor. So, you see that the neighborhood count for N of Y is strictly less than the neighborhood of Y. If it turns out that there is no augmenting path, what does it mean? You will start at V and do this exploration, right, which means that V, its neighbors in R, they are all matched under M, right. Their neighbors you will list which will all be inside R and they will all be matched, right. So, this procedure will terminate finally because the graph is a finite graph, right, and it does not have an augmenting path, which means what is in the bottommost layer? The vertices are all from R, right, and they all are matched to a vertex in L. So, a simple counting argument shows that except for V, there are an equal number of vertices from L as there are an equal number of vertices from R in Y union N of Y, right. So, which means the neighborhood of Y is less than Y, less than the cardinality of neighborhood of Y is less than the cardinality of Y, right. Why is this? Neighborhood of Y minus V is exactly equal to the cardinality of Y minus V, right. This is the first observation. The second observation is that neighborhood of V, right, is a subset of neighborhood of Y minus V, right. So, these guys, these are a subset of Y minus V, right. Therefore, the cardinality of neighborhood of Y, right, is less than the cardinality of Y. Right. This is the contradiction that this is the premise that we started with, right. So, where did we use the induction? We used the induction by saying that after removing a vertex V, I will have a matching, right, and we find a M augmenting path for that matching. That is where we have used the induction hypothesis, right, by considering a matching that saturates Y union V, and then we ran our data structure that we discussed earlier and then argued this property. Fine. So, therefore, right, this theorem is done. So, how efficiently can you implement this? That is exactly the same question that I asked a few slides back, right. It is polynomial time, but if you do a careful analysis, you can write the appropriate time of the data structure, which is like a modified breadth first search, because the edges are alternating in nature. One is in the matching and the next edge is not in the matching, and so on. So now let us prove a few properties in bipartite graphs. So I am going to introduce a new graph theoretic concept which is called covering. Right? So earlier you studied paths. I mean, if you look at all the previous lectures, we were talking about different kinds of paths. Right? And now I introduced a new concept which is called matching. Right? And I am going to introduce another concept called cover. Right? And we will see there is a min-max relationship between matchings and covers. We are going to do that now. So let us define this is in a generic graph setting, the min-max relationship we will prove for bipartite graphs. So in a sense it will be the second min-max relationship. The Menger's theorem was the first min-max relationship which says that the vertex connectivity is equal to the maximum number of internally vertex disjoint paths between sets. So one is the minimum, right? So now let us define vertex cover. Right? So first of all, a vertex cover of G, right, is 1 is a subset of vertex set of G, right? 2 So the vertex cover of graph G, right, is a set of vertices which intersects every edge. Recall in the first lecture I said that an edge is a 2-element set. So C intersection E is not equal to empty means that the cover contains, right, at least one vertex from every edge. Fine. So let us just draw a picture. What is the size of any vertex cover for this triangle? It's obviously at least 2. If you pick only one, observe that the other edge is not intersected by this 1-element set. So you must pick at least 2 from here. Therefore, a vertex cover is something that covers all the edges. In other words, it intersects all the edges. Fine. Okay. So would you want to minimize the size of a vertex cover or maximize the size of a vertex cover? Right, obviously minimize, right? Because there is always a vertex cover which is the whole vertex set. It intersects all the edges, right? So therefore, like a maximum matching and a maximal matching, we will consider a minimum vertex cover, that is a vertex cover of minimum number of elements, and a minimal vertex cover. Right? Minimal vertex cover means no subset is a vertex cover, right? So now the natural challenge is to come up with, again observe the difference between so let us pick this, pick this, pick this, pick this, right, and pick this. Okay. No, I don't need this. Right. So how many are here? So this is as you can see, this is indeed a vertex cover. Every edge is intersected by the vertices which I have selected by putting a circle around them, right? Is this minimal? If you remove any one, okay, so it is not minimal. Do I need this at all? Yeah, I need this. Right? So I can't remove any one vertex. So for example, if I remove this vertex, then this edge will not be covered. If I remove this vertex, this will not be covered, and so on. Right? But let me try and see if I can. Okay, maybe here is an example where it's only 4 that is required, right? So I have this matching, I have this edge in the matching, and I have this edge in the matching. So clearly this tells me that I have to pick at least 3 vertices, because these are 3 edges which are vertex disjoint. Therefore, any vertex cover, any minimal vertex cover, cardinality is at least size of a maximal matching. Right? And indeed, so why should I do this, right? I can give the best lower bound. So any minimal vertex cover has at least as many elements, right? So therefore, indeed the cardinality of the minimum vertex cover, VC means vertex cover, is at least the size of the maximum matching. Fine. Can we cover this graph with just 3 vertices? Can you see it from there? I am not able to see it from here. I think that 4 is necessary. So what is the reason why 4 is necessary? Because in a triangle I have to pick 2, and there are 2 vertex disjoint triangles, and therefore actually I need to pick at least 4. Right? If I was just focusing on just the edges alone, disjoint edges alone, then it is very clear that from every edge I have to pick at least 1, and I get this easy lower bound. But actually in this example I can use a stronger lower bound. I have 2 vertex disjoint triangles, and for every triangle I have to pick at least 2 vertices. Therefore in this example 4 is at least the answer. Fine. Now observe something funny. This one has a triangle. Right? Let's do the same example, similar looking example. The difference between the previous graph and this graph is that this is bipartite. Right? Now let us look at the maximum matching. The matching is 2 on this side and 2 on this side. Fine. Okay. So maximum matching is equal to 4. The minimum vertex cover is also equal to 4. Right? So you can see that the minimum vertex cover is this one. Right? The difference between the 2 graphs is that the previous graph was bipartite, not bipartite, and this one is bipartite. Right? So let us do some more examples. Let's look at the odd cycle. What is the size of the minimum vertex cover here? It's actually 3, parity argument. Right? In, out, right? You can't out the next one, you have to keep it in. Right? So what was the in, out? If you say that you have a vertex cover, here is a conversation between the two of us. I'll say, okay, is this in? You say yes, right? Or show me the first one which is in, right? You say this is in, right? And then the next one, maybe it is out, right? Then obviously this must be in, maybe this is out, right? Then this has to be in. So therefore, C 2k plus 1, if this is a cycle, has a minimum vertex cover of size k plus 1. Right? But of course, if it was C2k, then the minimum vertex cover is of size k, because you will just pick the matching and pick the appropriate vertices. Right? So it seems to be that there is a big difference between bipartite and non-bipartite. Right? And that's something that we are going to observe now. By the way, if C is a minimal vertex cover, what is V minus C? What property of V minus C can you observe? Can there be edges inside V minus C? So C is a minimal vertex cover in a graph, which means that this guy covers all the edges, it intersects every edge. Now you look at the vertices which are in the complement of C, that is the set V minus C. Can there be any edges inside this set? Right? By this long story, it is not possible. Therefore, V minus C is a why is it a maximal? It's an independent set. The independent set means no edges there. So that's just a jargon. But why maximal? If you add any one vertex inside the set from there, it's no longer an independent set. So the focus is on the word maximal. Independent set is only a jargon. Right? Independent set means no edges inside it. Fine. Okay. So this is a small property. So now I am going to prove something very interesting. So in a bipartite graph, the size of the minimum vertex cover is exactly the same as the size of a maximum matching. It's a very, very interesting proof. Right? So let's do that. Right? I know we are all hungry. Right? So let me try to do this proof because it has very nice structural properties, and we'll see this. Right? So you've already seen that if it is not bipartite, the result is not true. Right? It is strictly more than the size of the maximum matching. Right? If it is non-bipartite, here is an example of a non-bipartite graph. The maximum matching is of size 1, but you need 2 vertices. Right? But in bipartite graphs, this is an equality. Okay. So now let's do a very interesting proof of this. Right? So let's take this bipartite graph. Right? So again, this is left and this is right. You have a cover. Let us assume these vertices are in the cover here and these vertices are in the cover here. Fine. Okay. Now what am I going to show? I am going to show that claim. CL union N of CL, right? That is, if I just look at minus CR, fine. So this is the vertices which are in the vertex cover on the left hand side. These are the neighbors. Let us say these are the neighbors. Fine. Maybe there are some more neighbors also in CR. Right? I will remove them. Right? As a saturating Cl. I am going to show that there is a matching which saturates Cl here, right? So what, just let us, so similarly symmetric claim I am going to do for Cr also. If you look at Cr, look at the neighbors. Where are the neighbors? They are on the left hand side. Look at those neighbors of Cr which are not inside the vertex cover, right? I am going to claim that there is going to be a matching which saturates Cr also, right? So these two matchings put together show that there is a matching that saturates Cl and Cr, Cl union Cr, Cr union N of Cr minus Cl, right, has a matching which saturates Cr, right. Proof is not very hard, right, but it is interesting, right, to be able to observe this pattern, right. So let us just focus on Cr, right, and these are the neighbors of Cr, right. Among the neighbors of Cr, okay, Cl, sorry, this is Cl and these are the neighbors of Cl. Among these, some of these are in Cr, so I am going to not consider them, right. Now let us say it turns out that the neighbors of Cl inside this set is strictly smaller. Let us assume that there are like 20 elements here, and it turns out that the neighbors of Cl which are not in Cr is 19, right. Let us go back to the previous picture. One observation that you have to make is that, are there edges from here to here? So there is Cl, there is Cr, they cover all the edges. Obviously there cannot be an edge from here to here. Just keep this in mind, fine. Now it turns out in this whole thought experiment, so this is all the remaining left hand side, right, this is all the remaining right hand side. It turns out that the Cl has lesser if N of Cl, right, minus those vertices in Cr is strictly smaller than Cl itself. Then what will I do? I will cover those edges using these guys. Modify C as follows. Remove Cl, add the vertices in N of Cl minus Cr. How much is this? First of all a vertex cover? Let us just check, right. Because of this change, all the edges which are like this, right, they are safe, they are taken care of. By removing these, if there was a edge which was like this, that is covered by anyway by Cr, that is also safe, right. There are no edges from here to here, right. So therefore this step results in a vertex cover of lesser cardinality because you removed a larger set and put in a smaller set. So obviously you get a vertex cover which is of smaller size, right. Therefore it can't happen, therefore this can never happen. Now Hall's theorem is to be applied, right. By Hall's theorem, the graph formed by Cl, N of Cl minus Cr satisfies Hall's condition. Of course, I did this only for all of Cl, but as a small exercise you can check that if some set has the property that its neighbors is much smaller here, I will remove that set and put in the smaller set here and I will get a smaller vertex cover. Contradiction that you started out with a minimum vertex cover. So because the Hall's condition is satisfied, this graph has a matching which saturates Cl. And this set is the neighbors of Cl minus the vertices of CR. Fine. Therefore, what have we proved? Right. Therefore, for the minimum vertex cover C, there is a matching M such that the number of edges in the matching is equal to the number of edges, vertices in the cover, right? Fine. Therefore, maximum matching size is greater than or equal to minimum vertex cover size. It is easy that minimum vertex cover size is at least size of maximum matching. This is very easy, right? Because as many disjoint edges, you have to pick at least as many vertices. Therefore, equality, right? Size for bipartite graphs. Observe that very crucially we use all the properties of bipartite graphs, that the vertices are partitioned into two sides, no edges in each part, Hall's condition, everything we have used, right? So now the question is, how do you find, I give you a maximum matching, and how do you find a minimum vertex cover? That's an algorithmic question. Fine, that is not clear. So all this material is there in the corresponding, what I wrote in the first slide, right? So the chapter on matchings and covers by Douglas West, it's very easy reading, right? And you should just read it. Okay, thank you.